welcome you all for the video lecture series on electrical power utilization. So in the last class, hope you can recollect, we have discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of drives and various characteristics of the mechanical loads, everything. So just we will refresh the various load characteristics of mechanical loads. And first one is it is a constant torque load. Whatever maybe the speed increases, your torque is constant, right? This is the second type of load where your torque and load are parabolic in nature, and where load torque increases with the square of the speed. In the examples, as we already discussed, blowers, fans and water wheels, other things, right? And third is a linear relationship between the torque and speed. And fourth one is torque is indirectly proportional to the speed, where this example of for this load is wherever the deformation of material takes place, and that thing can be considered as an example for this type of loads, right? So now the last thing is, in the whatever the four category is an ideal category, but in the reality it is a mixing of any of these two or three load types. And here it is a pump load. It is a combination of your constant torque as well as the parabolic nature, both combined together, and the dark line indicates the original torque speed characteristics of the pump, whereas this is the part of the characteristics of the pump, and this is another part of the characteristics of the pump, and which is nothing but an original mechanical loads, example for original mechanical load. Now the next topic what we need to discuss today is matching of speed torque characteristics of the load and motor. So as of now we have the awareness about the load characteristics, and before familiarize the motor characteristics, we need to know how to match the speed torque characteristics of the load as well as the motor. For example, you consider this particular picture. You consider this particular picture, where this is the motor characteristics and this is the load characteristics. Both are joining together almost 90 degree. If these two, load and motor, are connected or joined or merging in the way of almost 90 degree, means this load torque matching, speed torque characteristics matching is right one, right? It is a one feasible point. So that means if it is almost 90 degree, why this should be 90 degree means, suppose you imagine the motor characteristics slightly varies because of the voltage problem. What will happen? The motor characteristics may move to this direction or move to this direction, but it won't affect the job. So wherever the operating point may be shifted, but it won't affect the load. So likewise, this is the one of the feasible method of matching the speed torque characteristics, but still you need to understand few more things. Suppose your characteristics is like this, that means the 90 degree thing is reduced, and that time also your operating point will be function properly. But whenever there is a deviation in the motor characteristics because of the supply voltage or frequency or some other error or something, now you imagine a small for a delta t change, and there is a delta speed n will change. So there will be a change in characteristics which will affect the load characteristics, right? So that is the another thing. And in one more possibility is, this is then another way of combining these two things. And here the motor characteristics in this way and load is in the vice versa, but both are in the both characteristics in the 90 degree displacement. And here the main advantage of this type of characteristics matching is, whenever there is a speed variation because of the motor characteristics variation. So the motor characteristics is shifted to this particular P dash position, and this much delta n speed is varies, but only a small quantity of torque is changed, and that is one advantage with respect to this type of matching. The another thing is stable operation can be attained by this type of matching. That means beyond this P point, what will happen is whenever your speed increases, your motor torque decreases, but in the load characteristics it is vice versa. So your operating point will be up to this level will be considered as stable operating points. That is one more thing. Whereas compared to this picture, when there is a change in delta n speed, will give a huge variation in the torque, which will affect the torque speed torque characteristics of the load as well as on the motor. So these are the things you need to familiarize in the part of speed torque characteristics matching, right? The next thing is, with respect to the selection of the motor, the starting condition of the load should be analyzed. That is the one important factor in selection of the motor. So this we already listed. Now the size of the motor is the function of full load torque as well as accelerating torque and braking torque, right? So we need to consider these three torques to select this any size of the motor, right? Now this is the characteristics curve, which will explain the importance of the accelerating torque. So now this is the load characteristics. Your torque versus speed characteristics of the load is this one, and whereas so this is the load characteristics. And this is the motor characteristics. Now what will happen when speed increases due to the starting time? Both your machinery should operate the should provide the moment of inertia to the motor parts as well as the load parts, and that's why when the speed increases, your torque increases. That is the load characteristics. When speed increases, your torque decreases is the motor characteristics. Now this is the operating point, we will call it as P, right? Up to this, what we are providing as an input is nothing but accelerating torque. Now if accelerating torque is high, what is the meaning of that? Can you anyone imagine that? So due to the huge accelerating time period, that means this portion is decided by the time period of the acceleration time, that is starting time. How much moment of inertia you need to provide both for the motor as well as the rotor will be considered on this particular part, and that will be considered as accelerating torque. Now this moment of period, rotor gets heated. So during the starting time, this is nothing but during the starting time of the motor, your rotor gets heated. So because of the rotor copper loss. So if you can analyze the equivalent circuit of the induction motor, you can analyze this also, right? So that means on the equivalent circuit part, your rotor load is nothing but R2 dash 1 minus of S into S. During the starting moment, what is the S value? During the starting time, your synchronous speed is something around 1500. For example, your rotor speed is 0, so ns minus 0 will ns becomes 1. So now if s becomes 1 at the starting point, what happens to this? 1 minus of s divided by s will give the 0, and that means there is an almost low resistance, which indicates that high current will pass over through this, which creates a rotor copper loss, right? So next thing is you need to understand the few more things also. The rotor input is nothing but power input to the stator minus stator copper loss and iron losses. And other thing is rotor copper loss is equivalent to slip into power input to the rotor. So rotor copper loss is nothing but slip into power input to the rotor, and the developed power on the rotor. So this is with respect to the rotor. The rotor developed power is nothing but 1 minus S, that is remaining portion of the slip. 1 minus s of rotor input power. So these are the things you are already familiar. Now with this you can understand still better the prolonged accelerating time. That means this time duration, this much amount of time duration. So this picture is not drawn for the time, but you imagine this time period is huge, means at the time of starting your motor may damage because of this high heat, right? And that's why when you go for the selection of the motor, the starting duty determines the rotor heating and which decides the size of the motor. So based on the rotor heating at the time of starting, so at the time of starting alone, it is for short duration, but anyway, and there will be a huge current will pass over through rotor. So to avoid that, you need to select accordingly a better size motors, right? The next thing is electrical characteristics of the Just a minute. Now in the selection of the motor, next is electrical characteristics of the motors. So now at this moment you are familiar or you are aware of the load requirements. That means what is the load speed characteristics required. That is your load requirement, right? That you already know. That is out of 4 combination of load requirements, any of 2 combination or 3 combination may be your requirement. Now for that combination, which motor is suitable? So if you know the characteristics of the motor, then only you can pick any one of the motors for that. For that you need to go for an characteristics of the electrical motors. When you deal with the electrical characteristics, you need to deal with speed torque characteristics and starting gear. What is the starting gear required for the motor? What are the possible speed control methods available for the motors? And also you need to discuss about the braking characteristics. If you familiarize these 4 characteristics for any motor, then you can pick any one among this category. Your syllabus deals with on the DC side the DC shunt motor, series motor and compound motor, and in the AC side 3-phase induction motor, synchronous motor and single phase induction motor will be discussed. Out of these 6 motors you can pick any one depending upon your load requirements, right? Also we will discuss about the electrical braking. Now the first thing is we will discuss about the electrical characteristics of shunt motor. Before discussing the electrical characteristics, in these slides we are just refreshing your basics what you learned in the DC machines and AC machines. So with respect to the DC motor, you need to recollect these 2 formulas. That is, your speed of the DC motor is directly proportional to the back EMF and indirectly proportional to the flux, RS. This can be elaborated V minus IA RA divided by phi, and torque directly proportional to IA into phi, right? So now in the shunt motor, your phi A is equal to torque is directly proportional to phi into IA. Now the speed current characteristics, when your load increases of the DC shunt motor, load of the DC shunt motor increases means your IA increases, that is armature current increases, and which increases the armature drop IARA, which decreases this EB, back EMF will be IARA increases means this numerator part decreases. At the time of constant voltage, your field current IF is also constant. That means this phi is constant, and that moment, because of these variations, your speed will, this phi is constant and N becomes reducing. This is one effect of the change in load. The other thing is, even though your IF is constant, because of IA, that means when your IA increases, what will happen? The demagnetizing effect due to the armature reaction will increase. When your IA increases, your armature reaction demagnetization increases, so that your phi will decreases. When phi decreases, this denominator part decreases, where N increases. Now there will be a controversy between these 2 things, and we are taking a compromise between these two things by the consideration of